Hi, I'm Matt Sweeney of the Hard Quartet.
Hi, I'm Steve Malkmus from the Hard Quartet.
I'm Emmett Kelly, and I'm in the Hard Quartet.
I'm Jim White, play the drums in the Hard Quartet.
Coming to you live from Malibu, California.
Kid Congo Power said, there's only two kinds of band names, a stupid band name and a really stupid band name.
I was coming up with sort of DIY punk names like the Office Wads, or
Blown Rules, Leader in the Creek.
we had Silk Becky, which I liked. It was the opposite of Iron Chad.
I kind of wanted to call us the Thug Dynasty for a while.
Stained Glass Harmony Quartet was my name. It was taken from a review about the Beach Boys that came out at the time saying they had stained glass harmonies. I'd never heard of that before. And then I think Matt or someone came up with just Hard Quartet. Finally, we just said that's probably it. Even though it's four people, it gives you an idea of common, we're all individuals that produce. You know what I mean? Produce the final outcome.
I feel like everybody in the band is excited to play with Emmett. There is this sort of like unspoken Emmett focus that is sort of spoken but quietly behind Emmett's back, but now I'm saying it out loud.
Matt is a dude that I met through through Will Oldham and Bonnie Prince Billy, and long time that we knew about each other and had been around each other, but didn't really get to know each other until we were on tour in Europe. It was just like we kind of got to get into this thing, and we, especially in the last bit of time that we were playing, we discovered this like two electric guitars, like clanging thing that was pretty cool. Now it's just such a cool relationship, and I love Matt's playing and sensibility, and he's just like a good guy to be around.
Getting to play with Emmett has been this lucky thing that happened to me, and I wanted to make sure that I could sort of up the stakes and force it to happen more.
Emmett, I met in, I'm pretty sure, I knew of him, but I played a concert on the pier, the Jicks, and then Michael Cronin. Emmett was playing guitar with Michael Cronin, and he had a 12-string guitar.
Like, I'd never met Steve before, but he actually mentioned my band name to me, which I thought was kind of cool because I feel like that never happens.
Matt introduced me to him, I think. We were backstage, and he had a belt buckle of the band Magma, the French Prague band, which was really, I know it's just like certain little things people have. It could be a tattoo, or for other people it's a car, or just the right jeans or something, and you're just like, oh yeah, but that just really turned me on, seeing that belt buckle. It's kind of like a Kiss belt buckle, very similar, except it says Magma, and the Kiss belt buckle also took me back to a time when that would be like something I craved so badly, unfortunately.
I'm a giant fan of Steve's since I was a teenager. I'd learned about this guitar tuning from a show I saw Thurston Moore and Nels Cline do, and Thurston had a guitar tuning written on the back of his headstock, and I wrote it down on my hand. And after the show, I was 14 or something, and I was like, "What is this tuning?" And he's like, "Oh, I got that from Pavement." And so I was like, "Oh wow, cool!" So I put my guitar in that. So I've already been learning that tuning, which is kind of funny as far as just formative, influential character.
Steve Malkmus is one of the best rock artists. He's just consistently uses rock music to say the unsayable in a really relatable way, and it's very real and really flowy, and I think he has a way of illuminating things that's really sweet, and also is this ripping ass guitar player. Malkmus rips at guitar, and that was always something that I appreciated.
Well, I met Matt probably just on the scene in New York City in the 90s, Maxwell's and CBGB's, and just, it's a small world there. At that specific time, bands were all about being tough. I was in this band Pavement, and we were sort of looked like suburban boys, and were very self-conscious perhaps about that too. He had dreads, and he was in this band Skunk, and maybe he's like gonna be a thug rocker that's like gonna shoot heroin into my eye or something. But actually, he was like, "Hey, dude, what's up?" And really nice.
I've known Steve longest and heard him the longest. Heard him on the radio in Melbourne. Went and saw Pavement play. Maybe a year later, they came back again, and by that time, Dirty Three had formed. This band was going to play with them called Magic Dirt, and they got sick or something, and we went and played with them, and then met Steve back then, and they invited us on tour in the end in America, and we ended up, you know, doing a lot of shows together, Lollapalooza and everything. So we go way back. Before we went on tour with Pavement, met Matt Middle East in Boston. He introduced himself very directly and was very friendly and welcoming.
Jim White is somebody that I feel a really close connection to how he plays music, and again, hearing how he played drums like really made me think about how to play and when to play.
Jim is like one of my close friends. I've had the great pleasure of being able to play with him on Bonnie Prince Billy sessions, on Bill Callahan sessions, and various other things. Probably my favorite living musician, I would say.
You know, the first time I came in contact with Jim was he was in the Dirty Three, as you all know, like a really unbelievable combo of personalities and music, and like they just like forced their way into the conversation by being great, like most bands with no inside help, you know. They just like destroyed their way upwards. And we did a tour with them in like 93 or 4, just watching them play and being positively blown away.
Steve and Jim and Emmett, meeting all these guys was always really open. These should be daunting ass figures because they're really, really good at what they do, but in my experience, that's always been extremely fucking cool.
For me, I really do feel like with those guys, that they'll say that I'm playing myself down, but like I feel like I'm with these really intuitive genius musician types, and like I'm a little bit the brute, the autistic one or something that like does some shit, and they're just like good at it. So it like really, I really like that, and I like to learn from that too.
Were you nervous at all about showing up with songs?
I mean, in a way I was, but I was also kind of like, I mean, I'll bring like the least figured out things I could bring, because if I had it more figured out, I'd be more nervous, I think. Like if it was just like a fragment of an idea, it'd be like cooler to kind of give it to those guys and see like, what do you guys do with this, you know? As opposed to having like a song written or something like that.
Emmett's got all sorts of good lines. A limp shake of rubber hands. That's fucking harsh. Counting down to single nut digits. That's some shit. Steve's always good with having these words, these lines that stick in your head, but both, like Steve's got, I smell a rat, I'm a cemetery cat, you can't put one over on me, that's a good line.
I would be doing my stupid daily routine thinking like, no Debbie Downers, you know. But I was just imagining Steve like as like a dad, like in his, you
know. I'm not a lyric guy. I didn't sing that much backing vocals. I'm not so confident, and those guys sound so good. But I just felt like this flow of like, you know, power or something, that kind of thing. When you're singing backing vocals like that, you do have images in your mind of the past. Like you see the Rolling Stones or something, like Keith Richards with a whiskey bottle or something, like in the bottom of a French chateau or something. Maybe I felt some of that too.
Something that Emma and I have talked a lot about, you know, and it seems implicit with Matt and Steve too, that, you know, like, you know, I like doing different things, but also being in a band is kind of what we've all done in our lives. You know, we're good at being in and it's interesting to form a band now.
I feel like it's not unusual that we're playing. It's like normal, like we're buddies. And also it just seems like everyone's kind of in this somewhat transformative time. You know, I wasn't assuming that I was going to New York to join a band or something. I was just gonna go play and record some stuff. Like, you know, it was like so cool when it like clicked in my head. Like one night after one of those days in the studio, I was like, this is like a band. This is crazy, you know?
As a kid, like rock and roll musicians were untouchably weird and something else, and they were somehow reaching out to me, you know, and then punk was really cool to realize that you could do that, but then the Butthole Surfers were the perfect band because it's like, wait, I could, you know, it was some sort of perfect mix of like the gods reaching down, but like singing through a toilet paper tube, you know what I mean? And like, it'd be cool to be a part of something like that.
I don't know if I feel a responsibility, but I do like to enact it and like inhabit it. This is like almost purely selfish, but I like when younger people who can take a path when they get what we're doing, you know, and they're like, oh, that's a good direction, and I'm like, I want to do it like that. I'm into that.
I just like the idea of everybody, you know, enjoying what kind of music we're making. That would be so cool.
You know that game, Fuck, Marry, or Kill?
No.
Well, you can explain.
No, I do not. Of course I know what it is.